These teaching videos are going to offer little instructions on one thing. So in this video, all we're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to change a fraction to a decimal. All right? That's all we're going to do. And then I'm going to have a bunch of these little videos that will teach you how to go from each one of these to the other. But this one, we're just going from a fraction to a decimal. And I think the system I use, as long as you have a calculator, you can change a fraction into a decimal. Okay? Now, one thing I do, if I have 18/25ths, all I do, we know that this line here, 18/25ths, it's 18 divided by 25, 18 out of 25. It's a ratio, but 18/25ths, all I do is I type in my calculator, 18 divided by 25, and it gets me 0.72. There you go. Now, say you don't have a calculator and you want to be able to convert a fraction to a decimal. This is how you do it. You have 1 divided by 2. You can do it a couple different ways. I like to do the division way, where you do 1 divided by 2. 1 divided by 2. Now we know that 2 can't go into 1, so we can just add we add a decimal point and then as many zeros as we want. Okay? Now I'm going to put the decimal point up here. Does 2 go into 1? Nope. Does 2 go into 10? Yeah, it goes in there 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. That's that up. Now, I actually don't need to bring any of these down because everything from here, that's going to be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, I could do that. That's 0. Bring down that 0. But it's just going to keep being zeros. And we know that 0.5 is the same as 0.50, 0.500. Those are all the same. So we have 0.5. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to get the denominator to a 10, 100, 1,000. Okay? So like if I have 1/2 and I get that to a 10, how do I get 2 to 10? That's getting bigger, so I times 5. Over here, times 5. 2 times 5 is 10, 1 times 5 is 5. Now, I just say this, 5/10. 5/10. Do you hear what I'm saying? Okay. We know place value, so you have like the ones right here, and then you have a decimal point, and then this is your tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and so on. Okay? But if I do 5/10, I hear the word tenths here, so I put my 5 there. I have 5/10. Okay? Same as here. Now, if I would get this to 100, it'd be 2 times 50 would be 100. 1 times 50 is 50. Now, the way I say this is 50 hundredths. So I have hundredths here. 50 hundredths. Now, 50 hundredths is the same as 5/10. Remember we talked about that? You can put as many zeros here. It's the same either way. Okay, so you either you have a calculator, do that. That's the most basic. That's just click, 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 got it. Or you could actually do the division like that. Or you could get the denominator to a 10 or 100. Something there that has a 1 with zeros under it. And then you can figure out what place value it is. So you have 3 different options. My favorite, of course, is this one. Okay. Let's do that with the next one. I have 7/8. So all I do is 7 divided by 8, 0.875. Cool. 3/4. Let's do the 3/4 this way. 3 divided by 4. Now, 4 can't go on 3, so I'm going to add a decimal point and a couple zeros. I put the decimal point up there. Does 4 go into 30? Yep, goes in there 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. Subtract that. Leaves me with 2. Then I bring down the 0. How many times does 4 go into 20? 5 times. That's exactly 20. 0. I'm done. So my decimal is 0.75. So I could have done it that way. Or I could have just gone 3 divided by 4 equals 0.75. I could also get it to a 10 or 100. Now 3/4, I can't get that really to a 10. 4 times nothing gets me to a 10, but I could get it to 100. 4 times 25, and then 3 times 25 equals 75. And then I just read what this says. 75 hundredths. 75 hundredths. And I know that that's my tenths, that's my hundredths. So I have to go to that one. 75 hundredths, 0.75. Okay? Now you might have a mixed number. Now there's a couple different ways you can deal with the mixed number. You know that the whole number is going to be a whole number. So it's going to be 1 point. And then you just got to figure out what the 3/4 is. Well, we just did 3/4 here. So it's 1.75. The other way you could do it is you could take it 1 3/4, take it to a improper. 4 times 1 plus 3, that is 4, 7, 7/4. And then you take 7/4 and you just divide it. 7 divided by 4 equals 1.75. Or like what we were doing before, you could do 7 divided by 4. 4 goes in there 1 time. That leaves me with 3. Now, I don't want a fraction, I want decimal, so I'm going to add a 0 here. Put the decimal point up here. How many times, oh, then I'll bring this down. How many times does 4 go into 30? 7 times. That's 28. Subtract that out, leaves me with 2. I still have a number here, so I'm going to put another 0. Bring it down. How many times does 4 go into 20? 5 goes in there exactly. Don't need anything more. 1.75. Okay. So, last one. 6 7/8. Now, we did 7/8 up here, and I know 6 is a whole number, so 6 is going to go here, point, and then 7/8, 8, 7, 5. All right. Now that's the way to get, whenever you have a fraction, that's the way to get it to a decimal. Now, I actually like, when I'm using a chart like this, if I have a fraction or a percent, I like to get it down to the decimal. The reason why I have the decimal in the center here, because I think once you get a number to the decimal, it's the most basic to get it from here to a fraction or from here to a percent. So I always am thinking, how can I get something to a decimal? Once I get it to a decimal, then I can take it to the other two. But you're not always going to start with a decimal. You might start with a fraction. Now, if you start with a fraction, you're good. You know exactly how to get from here to here. Okay? Use a calculator. Actually do the long division, or get it to a 10 and or 100, and then put it in the right place value. All right? So hopefully that's a good little lesson on how to get a fraction to a decimal. All right. The next lesson we're going to do is a percent to a decimal. All right.